Hello, so I wanted to do a video about the best non-legendary knights in Daphne. So in Daphne, there are six knights who are just like regular knights. You have Alex, you have Clarissa, you have Eldorado, Eualia, Eckhart, and Barbara. There's also a generic dwarf knight, but we're not really going to talk about him because it's not really worth considering just using him to level up HP on a character. Like, that's the main thing you would use just for HP inherits. Yeah, no, if we look at like inherits though, so probably the most important inherits is gonna be, let's sort these here. You do not want to see anything but the knights right now. Alright, so if we look at inherits here, the most important one is the Assault Guard skill from Barbara. So what happens is you get a defense boost for 2 turns when you get ambushed. This can definitely keep your characters alive. Like, this is a skill, definitely you want to inherit this on pretty much all your characters. You want at least 1 level in this. Mages would probably be the first ones you want to do because they're squishier. But just as a good skill to level up at least once. Like I said, if I put at least like to teach to like the first level, leveling up might not be as important, though eventually you can get extra turns, but it takes a lot of inherits to do that. But it is definitely worth noting because you do get those extra turns added. There are some encounters later in the game where, that have like, there's actually some boss that always have a chance of ambushing you and stuff too. So just getting this one here is pretty good. And if you can level this up like to high enough to start getting those extra, I think it's like level 5 or something. It's like to get that, I can't remember exactly, but it's you'll need quite a few Barbaras if you want to get extra turns on one of your characters or all of your characters. You need an insane amount of Barbaras, but that's probably like the most important inherit. So it's hard to really recommend developing it. Or if you just want to do 1 level though, then you would only need like 6. If you just want to do the first level on everyone, then you'd only need 6 inherits, and that would make Barbara a lot more doable that way. Probably the other skill I think is probably worth inheriting level up is Clarissa's self-healing. I wouldn't say this is a must-have so much as it's a nice-to-have. So self-healing, it continuously restores own minor HP for 3 turns. The first turn, when you first use skill, is where most of the healing happens. It's a good ability to heal yourself, but not really for knights. What it does, so this actually, you can actually set skills with level, you do higher level, you'd be more powerful, but also the main thing that this ability scales off of is divine power. The main characters that are going to have good divine power are going to be your priests and your mages. They like that, so because if you have a good staff on them, they're gonna have pretty good divine power because most staves add divine power on it. So this could be an ability to teach to a mage or a priest, so they have a way to just use that SP to heal some of their HP instead of having to use their MP to cast Dios. Usually you don't, like said, priests don't learn any skills at all, so this actually gives you something to do with your priest SP, and mages only learn 1 skill. So again, this could be a way to put that SP that you don't use that often on your mage and priest to use, and it scales pretty well. Like, and if you level this up to like level 3 or so, a lot of times this will be like a nearly full heal if you have a decent weapon. And if you do it, just said, you could take it all the way to level 5, and then it'd probably much guaranteed to be a full heal even with relatively weak but like even if you don't have like the highest divine power, like you could take it to level 5. Would take quite a few Clarissa dupes there, but taking to level 3 on like a major piece though, a good way to have an ability to heal themselves. Like, so I do think this is a nice to have. I wouldn't say it's the must have like a Soul Guard, but very nice. Another skill that is worth leveling up is Attract Hit. This is a minor physical attack when enemy, but what it does here is that a user becomes more easily targeted by affected enemy for 3 turns. And so it's pretty much a taunt ability. And there, like I said, if you're just trying to get the enemies to attack a certain character, especially if that character also has like high evasions or something, this could be a really useful ability. Last stratch you can build around this, and this is a skill. It is more effective the higher your level. So this is one of those who, if you plan on using this on someone, you do want to level this skill up. So Eckhart dupes can be really useful for that. Usually you probably want to attract hit on like focus on like 1 character. So that's a person, like, so that's one you might want to do. And another skill you might want to level up is Stun Bash. I wasn't too impressed with this one, leveling this one up personally, but like I said, this is a fine skill to use even at like a level 1 because it does a moderate attack on one enemy. This is pretty much a skill knights learn instead of heavy attack. Heavy attack's much better because unfortunately as you level it up, the damage doesn't really scale. The probability of landing stun increases, but at level 3 I did not see much better chance of landing stuns, so I was pretty disappointed, but it's not the worst skill level, but you might want to still level it up on one of your characters. The other two knights, like Eualia and Eldorado, their skills are knight specific, so cover. Like this skill, like I've never really, like said, I've not been too impressed with this skill, but actually this skill was actually bugged for the first several months the game was released. It's literally bugged and didn't work right. But this is, you have to spend your knight's turn, and then for the next 2 turns, he will intercept attacks directed at a specific ally. It only lasts 2 turns. It just feels, it's kind of bad. You do get additional turns added if you want to level it up, but it's hard to really recommend. I mean, there's certain strategies where this might make sense, but I think there's just better ability. So mostly this kind of a junk inherit. Unless you really like that cover ability. Again, it's knight specific, so you have to put this on a knight. So if you're using a knight, you know, maybe. But I just feel like it's not that great. And then there's behind cover, which is a chance to bear single target attacks in place of allies in the back. So, and again, this knight specific. So if you have a knight in the front row and the ally behind them gets attacked by a single target hit, sometimes the knight can jump in front of it. So this can be a way to help protect your mages a bit, but on the other hand, most enemies aren't attacking the back line of physical attacks. So this occasionally pops up, but I've only seen a behind cover trigger like maybe a dozen times playing this game. And I don't even use a knight like on the high end anymore. And that's kind of like another caveat. Is like knights are kind of meh on the high end. They do not have very good damage capabilities, so yeah, they're more like specialists, a defense specialist. Like there are certain fights where you can make use of a knight, but like, are you going to use it for long haul? So it's kind of hard to really recommend them. I'd say Barbara and Eckhart are out though for like just by the fact that their secondary classes are bad. Like, so Barbara's second class is Thief, which is probably the worst class in the game right now. Thieves are not good at the high level. So her second class being Thief's kind of bad. Thief would give her some extra speed and like surety and stuff, give her some extra evasion. And the main thing you did is a Thief with like Knight passives like Cheat Death and Way of the Night, which isn't bad, but it's like, it's hard to really recommend Barbara. She does have a really good passive though. So if we look at Barbara's passive, I do think Barbara has one of the better passives for knights.
What do you need?
What is it?
Wild Knight, because this reduces MP and SP costs of knight spells and skills that cost 3 to 10. So this isn't too bad because there are abilities you can get some value out of. Like it would reduce, see the cover is 2 on her instead of 3 self-healing. So it'd be 2. You can actually look at Stun Bash is 4 instead of 5. Tracked hits 2, like. So this is actually a pretty solid ability. Like that is probably like one of the better passives. So if you really like knights, she is fine. I just like said her secondary class though kind of fails her. And Eckhart's secondary class is Priest, which is kind of a funny second class for him because his passive, Eyes of a Hero, gives him extra accuracy when equipped with swords. Priests can't use swords, so this passive is completely useless if you make him into a priest. The main thing you would do is make him a priest, level up the priest, and make him a knight again, and then you'd have all those priest spells. On the other hand, he's a dwarf, so he has terrible MP. He's gonna have absolutely terrible MP, even at high levels. So it's just kind of an awkward second class for him. The other like knights, Alex, which I don't have in team right now, Eualia and Clarissa, they all become fighters, so it's a lot easier to recommend them just because then you can turn them into fighters in the long run. They can get like things like full power strike and stuff and be able to level up heavy attack easier. So that makes them a lot bit more viable, I think, as a thing. Also, I would think Yoli's passive is kind of meh, I mean, it should be, in theory, it's good, but there's not many enemies that really use fire damage, so it's kind of a nothing ability. Also, Alex is even worse. Is also another, like, fire-based theme, but Alex, like I said, is literally useless because it only activates you put him next to 2 fire. What is a fire formation? That's what is a fire formation. Like I said, Alex is literally useless, so I'm even gonna talk about it any more than that. But so that one's okay. The one I think might be the best passive, like susceptibly the best passive outside of Barbara's, is Clarissa's Oath of Fortitude. So this increases tolerance to confusion, charm, and fear for your user and all adjacent neutral allies. So you put her next to a neutral ally, like say maybe you have a neutral main character, or you have like say like your Katharina in your team like directly behind her. This would activate the Oath of Fortitude, and they would have higher tolerance to confusion, fear, and charm, which is actually really good. There are a couple of nasty bosses who love to use confusion and charm abilities, and this could be, so Clarissa could be like a clutch character to use for fights like that. So this is something that has a lot of value that way. And that I guess leaves us to El Dorado, who has a similar ability.
Please be brief.
His is Nameless Loyalty, increases tolerance to sleep and stun for user and all good adjacent allies. So if you have him next to a good aligned character, maybe if your main character's good aligned, or you have them like, or maybe use like Marianne as your priest or something who's good aligned, that'll activate the protection from sleep and stun. Again, this is just tolerance, it's not 100% protection, but there are lots of enemies who sleep and stun, and just getting stunned can really mess up your turn. The other thing to keep in mind about El Dorado, though, is that his secondary class is Mage. Not only that, he is a dark type and he's good aligned. He's the only good aligned character who could become a dark mage, which is kind of interesting because all the dark attacks are kind of evil coded, because most dark mages are evil, but he could become a good dark mage. And the way this is relevant though is you could create a mage with all these night passives, such as Way of the Night. Way of the Night is a absolutely really good ability to have on a mage. This is a super good ability to have on a mage. Another one, it's like unable to fight, is the cheat death ability. A lot of us just call it cheat death because that's what's called in other wizardry games. But a lot of people refer to this ability as cheat death. Also, there's also another ability called Will to Fight, which is a completely different ability. So that's the other reason people just call it cheat death. But yeah, he will have those naturally. I mean, you can learn Way of the Night from rare Alex inherits. They're super rare though. And Unyielding Will to Fight is from rare Eualia inherits. And he just learns them naturally, and you can have them on a mage. Then it'd be easier to level up, because then you could take it to level 2 with a single rare Alex or a single rare Eualia. So those are good. You'd also have Recovery, which I don't think there's a way to really teach. I don't think there's a way to teach this one right now, just to like a character. But this is actually a super nice ability, as you can automatically recover from status effects at the start of your own turn, which again would be an amazing ability to have on a mage. And again, naturally learns Assault Guard, like that's pretty good. And then of course you have these passive HP up, passive defense up, passive magic defense up, passive resistance. Those are all fine abilities to have on a mage. And if you discipline him, he gets extra magic defense and stun tolerance, so also good. But if you do plan to use your El Dorado, I honestly recommend putting all your points in IQ like I did here. And also if you can try to find one with extra IQ.
Welcome to the Guild Tavern.
Right, his default IQ is I believe it's 16, and you want to find one of 17 ideally, though being I don't like, it's kind of rare, but like if you go look, right, his base IQ is 16. If you could find one 17, like that would be ideal. And then you like, especially if like 8+ mono points, then you could put everything in IQ and then eventually have him be like a really nice dark mage. Like that would be probably the best. Like he's probably the best character in this lot, just because of mages are super good in the late game, but also dark mages especially are super good because they learn that dark mage thaumaturgy and all of the, so in the very end game, like the super end game right now, the post game, even after you beat like the actual thing, you fight like all the super optional bosses, so many of them use like dark based attacks. Like they'll use these spells like Mausoleus and stuff. Having that dark mage thaumaturgy from being like a level 55 dark mage is such a good passive in the post game. Like that, you know, just a character like this. Even if you decide to make him a knight again, you could make him a knight, then he would still have that dark mage thaumaturgy ability. Though mages are super powerful. I mean, in this game, so yeah, like in. You know, for most knights, I generally would recommend to do strength or luck as your stat, and I'd say Eldorado's the exception. I'd probably, like I said, most of the characters, I'd probably put all your points in either strength or luck. And generally, you'd want to find one with a +1 strength or a +1 luck at creation. Eldorado, I'd say, is the only exception to that, just because he can become a mage. I generally, on all proto mages, on any character become a mage, always try to find them, always put everything into IQ and try to find that extra IQ. But for anybody else, though, you know, strength, you can't go wrong with doing strength. Luck is good because pretty much all the knight passives are luck based. If you really want to get more value out of that, luck is the stat. Like both those are the two stats that knights need. Speed's kind of bad on knights because knights get less value out of speed than literally every other class. So it's hard to recommend speed. And then of course, piety and vitality are dump stats. Never put points into piety or vitality. Both those stats are pretty much useless. Even on a priest, piety is useless. Like you should never put points into piety or vitality. But yeah, like that's pretty much it. You know, Eldorado, I think, is probably the most interesting character because of second class. Otherwise, if you really just want a knight, Clarissa has a decent passive, but it's hard to recommend her just because her inheritance so necessary. So really, like I said, Barbara's solid. Her secondary class kind of meh. Otherwise, you can't go wrong with Eualia. She becomes a fighter. And Alex will become a fighter, but his passive's trash. I mean, Eualia's passed not that great either, but I'd say probably Eldorado is your man for this, because even like you would have lower strength of doing it with the mage route, you still leave that option, and it's in the long grand scheme of things, knights are more of a defensive specialist, so even if you don't have that extra strength, it should be fine. Anyway, if you want to know more about mages, I did do a video about the best mages to develop, which you can find down below. As always, thank you for watching.